Your story might be the very thing someone needs to hear in order to keep going. Hi, I'm Shara, and you're listening to Life Stories. Hi, friends. It's been a minute since I have been on here. It's been a busy couple of weeks. My grandkids were here for 4 days, and so obviously that's pretty much what I did for 4 days was grandmother stuff. And then Wednesday we went to a concert, so I was getting ready for that. And then yesterday I took Penny to get fixed, which, I've mentioned before. Aaron really wanted her to have a litter of puppies, but I couldn't do it. And what's so funny is when I brought her in yesterday, first of all, now I'm scared she's not ever going to get out of the car if we get to the vet again because of that experience. But when I was talking to the technician, she said, "Is there a chance that she could be pregnant?" And I said, "No, there's not. I don't think." And then I started wondering, and I was paranoid until they texted me to let me know her surgery went well, that she was pregnant. And it reminded me of me because I remember after we took permanent measures to make sure I would not get pregnant again. And I was still scared. If I had a weird symptom or, I got nervous that thinking maybe I was pregnant, I would not take a pregnancy test because they always came out positive. It just scared me. I would never take one because I was afraid it wouldn't be negative. So that's what I thought of all morning until they texted me and said, "Surgery went well. She's fine. You can come pick her up after this time." So she was very sad and still out of it until last night when we went to bed. It was weird seeing her like that because she's so happy and full of energy. And so this morning when we woke up and her tail was flapping, we knew she was okay. So she's back to herself. Now I'm trying to keep her from jumping and being crazy, which I'm not sure how I'm supposed to do that. But anyway, I'm happy to see her back to her happy self. So I was wondering what your favorite concert that you've ever been to was. Why was it your favorite? Like what about it was so wonderful? Wednesday, we went to see Carrie Underwood in concert. This is the 4th time we've seen her in concert, which is a lot for one person. But we just adore her. My son absolutely loves her, and this was his birthday present, was tickets to her concert. We've seen her twice at this same arena, and then we saw her a couple of years ago at the Grand Ole Opry. And then last year we saw her, Colton and I saw her at Choctaw Casino. We bought tickets for the pit for that concert, and that was awesome because that arena was, it's not very big. And so you could sit anywhere and have a great seat, but we were very close, and that was amazing. If you've ever been to her concert, she puts on an amazing show. She's awesome. We know all her music because since my son loves her so much, that's what he always wants to listen to. So we know all her songs, and my daughter bought tickets for my granddaughters to go, and so we got to go see them. They were all fixed up cute with cowboy hats and boots and just looked adorable. And they had fun because they know all her songs too. They love Carrie Underwood as well. Country music's been a big part of our lives. We like country music. Growing up, that's not what I listened to. We kind of make jokes, my husband and I do, because growing up, he listened to a lot of rock music and old country, and I listened to Amy Grant. That's pretty much the only person I wanted to listen to. I bought, I'm sure I didn't buy it, but my very first album that I had when I had a record player was Age to Age, her Age to Age album. I loved it. And then I got her cassette tape whenever cassette tapes came out. I just have always adored Amy Grant, and I love her music. And last year, or year before last, I wanted tickets to go see her because she was coming to Dallas. And I told Aaron, I've seen her in concert before. My dad took me when I was a teenager. It was the Eye to Eye tour with Amy Grant and Michael W. Smith. And we sat at the very top. She was an inch tall on the stage. And back then there were not these monster screens you could look at, and see them up close. So she was very tiny. And it was a great concert. I enjoyed it. But I told Aaron when she came to Dallas, I said, I want to go to the concert, but I only want to go if I can get on the front row. I want to be able to see her face clearly from my seat without having to zoom in on my phone. And so that's what we did. I think it was my birthday present. But we went, and it was so wonderful. I mean, my husband loves me a lot because it wasn't his favorite. It's just not someone he's ever listened to. And anyway, I'm very thankful. That was a very special concert, and I'm so glad I got to go. She sang all our old stuff, and it was just fun. It was so much fun. We've had the benefit of hearing a lot of people in concert over the years. Brad Paisley's another one that I've seen. I think I've seen him 3 times. And we bought tickets in the pit for that concert too because he's my favorite. He is my favorite. And so that was awesome. It was exhausting because we stood for 4 hours, but it was fun. We had a great time. My husband can joke all he wants about me liking Brad Paisley, but he likes his music too. He does. So Carrie Underwood on Wednesday, Jimmy Allen opened for her, and he was fabulous. I would love to go watch him again. He was very funny. In between his songs, he talked a lot, and he was very funny. So he does this thing. I guess he said he did it in all his concerts where he'll sing the beginning of a song, and then he, holds the microphone out and asks everybody to sing the rest of it, which they were all popular songs. But I laughed because he said, okay, this next one is like the white people national anthem. And I said, it's going to be Sweet Caroline. And it was. But, everybody loves that song, and that's fun in a crowd. And so he did that. But he was great. He can sing. He can sing. And he holds a special place in my heart because he's from Delaware. And Delaware holds a special place in my heart. I was able to visit there multiple times when my aunt lived there. And I met some great friends. And it was just a fun time for me. So I like that about him too. Several years ago, my daughter and I were able to go to Nashville. I think it was 2008. At the time, my aunt lived in Nashville, or outside of Nashville, with her husband. He was a general manager of a car dealership there, and that car dealership sponsored a lot of CMA events. So they do this thing every year in Nashville. It's the CMT Music Festival, and all the country music artists go, and they or they get a booth in the Coliseum or Convention Center or whatever, and you can, stand in line to meet them and take pictures with them. And then they have concerts. I think there's 4 nights of concerts, and maybe more, but I think back then it was 4 nights. And so we went to 2 nights of the concert. One night we had tickets, I guess they had a pit, but it wasn't in the pit, but it was very close. We were pretty close. And then another night it was in the stadium. And so we sat, up high in the seats. But we got to hear some amazing people, and we got to meet some really cool people. And I pulled out my photo album, my scrapbook photo album, because I was trying to remember everybody we got to see. So we met Rodney Atkins and got to see him. He did a little private concert at the dealership, and so that was neat. We got to meet him. We saw Taylor Swift, and then she sang one night at the concert. One of my regrets is not standing in line to meet her with my daughter. It probably would have taken us 7 hours to get through that line. But that's one thing I've regretted not doing because, that was a once in a lifetime thing. But we saw her pretty up close because I'm looking at this picture and I remember seeing her in her booth. We just didn't stand in line for her. So we got to watch her. And then Kylie met the Eli Young Band. I stood in line for Chuck Wicks. He was very sweet. We heard Carrie Underwood perform for the first time. And I remember, I vividly remember, this was when she was first coming out. And so, everybody had a booth. And there were so many people taking pictures around her booth. I was having to look through, the picture that I have of her is not very good because I'm looking through people's arms and, in between all these people to take a picture of her just to see her. And I remember watching her she was taking a drink of water and kind of taking a deep breath. And you could just see how overwhelmed she was. And I'm sure she was overwhelmed. I can't imagine. That's what I remember about seeing her is man, I can't imagine have that much attention on you, and people sign up for it when they become famous. That's just part of it, I guess. But I felt bad for her. She's somebody that I have a lot of respect for. She's a mom and she loves her family. I mean, it's very clear that she loves her family and she's a Christian and she's a classy lady. She just is. Plus, she is so talented. Let's see. Phil Stacey. We saw, okay, so they did a block party during that week we were there in Nashville, or I don't know how long we were there, 4 or 5 days. They did a block party in the middle of the road, and all these different artists came up and sang. And so Phil Stacey was there. I have pictures of him. And if you watch American Idol, this was so funny, and I'm going to show my husband when he gets home this evening. His daughter, Phil Stacey's daughter, is a contestant on American Idol. And he was on the other day. I would not have known it was him, but it was so cool. He was on American Idol, and he was at the block party. And then Joe Nichols was there. Joe Nichols lives not far from me. I haven't run into him yet, but I really hope I do one day. He was awesome. I do love Joe Nichols. Sarah Evans, James Otto. I met Luke Bryan. Anytime somebody talks about him online, I always post my picture of meeting him, just so I can rub it in that I got to meet him. Little Big Town sang. Keith Urban sang. He was a surprise guest that night. My daughter met Jason Michael Carroll, which she loved Jason Michael Carroll during that time. Kelly Pickler sang. Phil Vassar. Randy Travis sang. I don't remember that, but he did. Billy Ray Cyrus, of course, sang Ache You Break Your Heart, which I have to say, that was the night we sat in the stadium, and it was a little bit ridiculous because grown women were standing on their chairs in the stadium dancing to Ache You Break Your Heart. I mean, like, getting into it. It was something to watch. Wow. Trace Adkins was there. So that same year, we were able to go, that was like in June. I think they do it in June every year. And then in November are the CMA Awards. Between June and November, my aunt and her husband had moved back to Texas. And they got tickets to go to the CMAs. And so they gave them to us because they didn't want to go. So Aaron and I got to drive to Nashville and go to the CMAs, which was awesome. I mean, that's another once-in-a-lifetime event. It was awesome. Brad and Carrie were hosting, and it was so much fun. And then after the CMAs, the company that he had worked for rents out the back room of this bar across the street. And so we got to go do that. And I got to meet all kinds of people there that night. I met Jason Aldean, Trace Adkins, super sweet. Super sweet. He took a picture with me. James Otto was there. I got to take a picture with him. It was a once-in-a-lifetime trip. And I don't know why I'm like this, but you know, I've met a lot of country music stars because of just situations like this. And when I meet them, I'm very bold and I do not have a problem going up and asking for a picture or an autograph. Now, that's very much out of my character because my mom calls me an extroverted introvert. So if you know me, then I probably talk too much. Or you probably think I talk too much. If you don't know me, you probably think I'm rude because I don't talk enough. It's not like me to just go up to anybody and introduce myself and, you know, whatever. But for some reason, I'm very bold with country music artists. I don't really know why. Anyway, I'm glad I am because I've gotten some great pictures because of it. The only other time, 2004, I think we went to New York. My sister-in-law and her husband were living in Hyde Park because he was going to culinary school up there. And we went up there to stay with them, and then we spent the night. We took the train in the city and spent the night, and that was fabulous. That was, you know, another once-in-a-lifetime thing we got to do. That was the only time that I've ever, and she wasn't a country music artist, but the only time I ever met somebody that I couldn't speak. It was so weird. My sister-in-law and I went to watch the Today Show, and they were filming outside. At the time, the only person that stayed, like they were filming outside and then they all went in, but the only person that stayed outside to take pictures was Ann Curry. And so we got to take a picture with her, and she was talking to me, and I literally, like, nothing would come out of my mouth. It was just really weird. You know, I always laugh at people on TV when they get starstruck like that, like they cry and they don't, I get it. Like, I get it. It was weird. It was like I was paralyzed and could not speak. It was so weird. But she was very nice, and we took a picture with her. I will say there are several people that I would love to go watch, like dream concerts, you know. I would love to go to Morgan Wallen. I would love to go see him, but his tickets sell out so fast. So, I don't know if that'll ever happen. I'd love to see Reba. Reba is high on the list. Reba's probably the only other person I would buy tickets. I don't know. Jimmy Allen, he was pretty fun. Like, I might buy tickets in the pit for him. There's just very few people I would do that for because I get tired. Like, I'm old. I get tired. I would do that for Reba. I would love to go hear Reba, but I can't afford to hear Reba. So, maybe one day in heaven I'll get to hear her sing. I won't have to pay for a ticket. But she's definitely high on my list. I totally forgot about, there's a lot of other people we saw many years ago, like when we were dating. My father-in-law worked for a company that got tickets to the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, and we went a lot. We saw George Strait, we saw Clint Black, Brooks and Dunn, Winona. I'd love to go hear Winona too. She's amazing. The other day, I don't know why we were talking about George Strait in concert, but I said, Aaron, do you remember when we saw George Strait in concert and the cameraman went behind him and was filming his butt and he stuck his hand behind him and it was waving to the camera? He said, no, I don't remember that. Anyway, I thought it was funny. I remember that. Yeah, there's several people. I'd love to go hear Thomas Rhett. Thomas Rhett is awesome. I would go hear Lionel Richie. I don't even know if he ever will be doing concerts again, or maybe he does and I'm not aware of it, but I would totally go hear him. I've always loved his music, but since he's been on American Idol, I mean, how do you not love Lionel Richie? I mean, who doesn't love him? I'd love to go see Little Big Town. That would be awesome. Michael Bublé. Oh, I can tell you who I want to go see, which I'd have to go by myself, is Josh Groban. Oh my gosh, I would love to go see Josh Groban. My husband will not go with me though. Anyway, those are my dream concerts. Those are the people I'd love to go see in here because we just love music around here. We're big music people. I hope I have entertained you today. I hope I've gotten you thinking about what your favorite concert was. Thanks for listening. I hope you have a great day. But when I was married in my early 20s, I was trying not to get pregnant.